We rolling? Is it rolling?
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, we're rolling.
We've been gone. So
We've been
you
gone
might
for a while.
you might have noticed we're kind of on a new podcast, we'll call it. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been with us in any of our previous podcasts, thanks for sticking with us. We took a bit of a break because we've both been trying to. Well, Brandon's been gone and COVID's been hitting us, so it's been tough trying to get shit recorded. So we figured take it off, start back in the new year, and we decided that 2 podcasts was kind of stupid for us. So we decided we're going to put them together and create one podcast.
It's a lot of work too.
Yeah, we don't have the time for that. No. So we decided we're just going to combine everything we know together instead of just trying to talk about one sport, because it's a lot more fun just to talk about the world in general. So it's going to be sports based, obviously, because we're sports people primarily. I would say.
I don't know. I don't think the flag gave it away enough.
No, the Jays won and the Raptors won, and it's a bit of a sports based thing, but we like to talk about everything else in the world, and it kind of felt like we were getting a little bit constricted from that in our old podcast. So here we are, new podcast, not same setup, but
we're just opening up the floodgates. It's now more opportunity to just dive into some other stuff.
Exactly. You get to see a little bit more of who we are and what we're interested in and stuff like that. So
and our views, and whether you get to agree or just absolutely hate us. But that's the point of sports.
It's going to be your worst enemy or your best friend in the next year.
The reason why we are best friends is because we hate each other at sports.
Yep.
We never agree.
We argue very well, but we agree on everything else in the world. So it's kind of cool. You get to see that side of us. Hopefully you enjoy it. If not, sorry. Let us know if you think we can change anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've rambled on enough. We might as well get into sports because that's what we're here for, right? Do we want to start with baseball? See, this is the thing. We have these. We're not really having to determine anything before because it was just like, this is the baseball podcast. We'll talk about baseball.
Yeah. But now we just talk about baseball.
Yeah, we'll stick with our roots. Stick with baseball. There was quite the trade in baseball this week.
Wow, man! No kidding. Finally, after being so silent and just nothing going on, it didn't even feel like there was an off season. I almost feel like baseball just on hold. Like they just hit pause and were like, "Hey, no one's going anywhere."
Yep.
I think what that all-star shortstop from Japan, he came over. He was a big signing, but now this trade, oh my goodness,
dude. Well, it started with the Padres, right? The Padres made their first moves. It was a little while ago. We're not going to bring that up because it's been time, a little outdated. But they got the ball rolling, right? And they
that's what it was. That was like the first big news. That was really the only news.
They set the market for trades, and then the inevitable kind of happened. Like, you knew Francisco Lindor was going somewhere. A lot of Jays fans were hoping it was the Jays, but it didn't end up going that way, and he went to the Mets for 3 prospects. I don't have the names in front of me. I'm not going to bother pulling them up because they won't matter for a few years. And then Ahmad Rosario. So the deal, to me, it's exactly what the Indians want, I think. Sorry, it's not even the Indians. It's the Cleveland baseball team at this point.
Yeah, right.
They are changing their name.
Politically correct.
Yeah. But
do you think they're actually going to have a name ready too?
I think they're funny. They definitely have to be the baseball team, right?
Yes, because it's working so well for the Washington football team, who I actually hope does a lot more this upcoming
win.
Tomorrow. Oh my God, the story's right there.
I'm all in for it.
That's it.
Don't get me wrong.
I could be a football team fan. I
am a football team fan, man. Alex Smith is the coolest story in the NFL.
Dude, he's 4-1 this year. 4-1.
Chase Young, the deadliest dude with a ponytail on earth.
Right.
It's incredible.
Montez Sweat.
It's incredible. They're a great. They're
okay. Sorry.
Really well. Sorry.
We digress.
However, Cleveland baseball team, they gave up Lindor and Carlos Carrasco in the deal, and I get it, and I know that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to shed cap, but I feel like you could have got more.
Definitely, and I think that's the stinger too, right? It's not just Lindor anymore. That was one thing in itself, but then to have this Carrasco kicker, that was oh wow, okay.
Exactly. That was the thing for me. Is they wanted this package from the Blue Jays for just Lindor.
See, I feel hosed.
And then they wanted this, and it was what's his name, Lourdes in the deal. It wasn't Ahmad Rosario.
Yeah, they wanted a really high player now.
Who is realistically, he's probably an all-star in a regular season, but here we are, and they ended up getting the same package for Lindor plus Carrasco, and I feel like they could have got more. You and I already talked about this a little bit, but it's a deal that I think the Indians are okay with because they shed salary and they get some prospects.
It just really shows where they are
Yeah.
as well, like to the point where it's, you know what, we want to get it done. And I think maybe, conferences do come into play here a bit, where instead of going to the AL, where you're going to see him a lot more, he's now going to the NL, which is less time against you. So realistically, it's less of a hurt that you have to keep going against, and you know what play you're giving up.
Yep. So he's still one of the best in the league.
Right.
Whether down year or not last year, he's still one of the best shortstops in the league.
And the thing is he's on a 1-year deal.
Yep.
And so that's I think where the cookie sweetener, if you will.
It's like insurance almost.
Right.
Like, you have some piece because Cookie's under contract for 3 years, two or 3 years still. So you have
years term on it.
Yeah. So it's not.
And that's not saying that the Mets aren't going to try to sign Lindor, because I feel like a training like that, you really want to, when you trade for such a big piece, you really want to bring it back in.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's weird though. This team, like, I don't think they were far off from contending. Like, there's obviously some holes in their lineup. Like, they still have Josh Naylor playing the outfield, which is, he's not the most athletic guy, but he can hit.
Right.
But then you've got Franmil Reyes there still. You've got Jose Ramirez. You have arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball in Shane Bieber at the top of your rotation.
Yeah.
Zach Plesac's okay.
Even after getting rid of, but like they've always kind of made it clear that they're not really in a point of contending.
No, it's weird.
Because, like, you know what I mean? They let Corey Kluber just kind of go away, Clevenger away now, like Carrasco again away, Bauer gone. Like, it's just there's these big pitching names that if they just kind of kept them around and they might kept them in that system, they would have been ridiculous. Like the names there, like, you know what I mean? Bauer becomes your 1 easily. Kluber can easily slide down to 3-4 behind, if Clevenger's there. Like, the names, they just got better. Bieber, like, they had the team there, and they just kind of said, you know what? No, we're not willing to put any money into it.
It's one of those things that, like, as early as 2 years ago, if they just kept that team together, they would arguably be a World Series contender right now. Like,
it was a really slow fall, especially because they lost to the Cubs in 2016? Yeah,
that's 4 years ago. We're talking about a World Series that happened early enough that we can remember every part of it, right?
Right. It's almost like the Indians weren't flying; they were just falling with style. Like, Buzz would say, like, it's just like we thought they were all like going around, like, oh, you're on your way up, but really they're just like falling with style, and they just made it look okay. And now this is the final breakaway from that team that went to the World Series.
It must suck being in a market like that where you don't really have the money to pay all these guys, because that team, if you could pay them, they would contend with the Dodgers and they would contend with the Padres and the Yankees and other teams like that, because that roster was great.
And that's where baseball really separates itself for me from all the rest of the sports, because there is no like middle ground, right? Like a lot of the other sports, they really make sure that every team is at the same status quo, right? Yeah, there's like obviously like sometimes taxes get into play in like real life situations, but every team has a cap.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You got a bottom, you got a top, and that's it.
Yeah.
But like baseball just says, okay, you know what, you got certain points if you hit, you got to pay more money. But like if you're wealthy enough, like, okay,
go spend all your money, man.
You're winning World Series and you're making $40 billion a year. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like it doesn't matter, right? It's crazy. I do enjoy baseball for that. Obviously, it creates situations like the A's and the Rays where they can't spend with the big boys. But like the A's and the Rays have been two of the more successful franchises in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So it not necessarily,
especially too, man. The Rays, and I think they do a lot of that on like homegrown talent a little bit, like they, you know what I mean, and then position players, and just knowing what they're getting back, they really understand how to trade and where to put people in their best situations, right? Like, so, but yeah, no, they've been doing, and the A's always, man, the A's have been there since, Billy Beane stepped in there and said, all right, I'll do something.
Yeah, like, it's just, it creates this thing where if you have no money to spend, you have to have a good coaching staff. And I think they're like all the teams near the bottom, like you're talking about, like the Indians have been successful for a while, but then other teams that aren't paying money, like you have the Rays are always there. The A's are always there. The Tigers stopped spending money, so they don't really count. The Rangers are near the bottom. The Brewers, who were a playoff team this year, are 21st in baseball on their payroll. Like there's these teams that don't spend a lot of money that they're doing well, and it kind of creates stories like that are cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have the teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, now the Mets, and other teams like that. They're spending a ton of money that win games, but you can do it the other way too, and it's kind of cool that it creates a vibe
It's
like
less in it. Yeah, it's less in the whole like just throwing money at players and actually investigating. What are we getting and what is worth the price for what we can do, right?
yeah,
Like it puts a lot more brain power into it, and I love that about baseball.
yeah.
Is that it
Well,
really is like a thinking man's game,
yeah, it's not necessarily the highest paid team that wins it too. Like the Dodgers
No.
have been the highest payroll in the last what? It's got to be at least. Oh, they weren't last year. So yeah, the highest payroll team hasn't won the World Series in how long, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things. It's like it's great that they have the no cap because you get these super teams, but it's
Mhm.
so cool to see these super teams lose to other teams that
Yeah.
don't want to spend the money. It just sucks when you see a team like Cleveland that has to blow it all up because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it is tough to see, but then it's also fun to just see these players go out, and I'm loving the Trevor Bauer situation.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just gotta say I love that he is like trolling
Great.
everybody, just
Yep.
messaging everybody, saying, "Hey man,
Yep.
what you gonna offer me? Like
It's
I'm
kind
with
of
this."
frustrating, but I love
It's
it.
so entertaining,
I'm
and
not
he's
going to
like,
complain about it.
"No," but you know what I mean, and that's where it allows you to see that as well. And there's teams that are going to spend, and there's teams. It's not that they don't invest in players. Like there's, I'm sure, I hope they invest in Shane Bieber because
Yeah,
that's.
they should.
But they also just cut like Brad Hand for nothing.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
best closer,
it's weird. I don't really understand it.
nothing.
On the flip side of that equation, the Mets pick up a damn good shortstop in Francisco Lindor and a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
They were in on just about every target that the Blue Jays were in.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a Blue Jays fan and we didn't get Lindor, obviously, but the silver lining you can take out of it is it might have knocked the Mets out of at least one of your targets so that you have a chance. Because right now there's not many teams going in on free agents.
No, and I don't think that the Mets can now actually afford to
No,
spend big money. Like they have to shed a bit to get more.
Yeah. I think they're like a little bit under the luxury tax right now, but like it's not much. So if you're trying to stay under the luxury tax, which maybe they're not, but if they're trying to stay under the luxury tax, then they can't really sign much else, and that opens up a big window for the Blue Jays to go after guys like Springer or DJ or JT Realmuto was in the mix for a while. I think
that's still like a really great. Yeah, like I think that Real Muto for me is honestly the one that I would love to see at this point. And I'll tip my hat to Danny Jansen for what he's done, but he just hasn't made the progression that I feel like I thought I'd see from the catcher.
Yeah, I love Danny Jansen, and you saw what he could do in that playoff game last year. Yeah. But if the option is Danny Jansen or JT Realmuto, Realmuto is the best catcher in baseball.
Absolutely, and I feel like it helps because what he's able to call games behind that play, so he helps the pitching.
Yep.
Right, and like that's big for a team, especially for what they look like right now from their pitching rotation.
Yeah,
it's you know what I mean.
They're young. They're
you need all the help you can get too, right?
Yeah, especially with guys like Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray, he's incredible when he's on, and when he's off, it's frightening.
Yep.
So you get a guy like that honed in a little bit. It would help to have a guy who's been there, done that, like JT Realmuto. Yep. Obviously, he hasn't had a lot of playoff experience because he's played on pretty shit teams for his whole career.
But neither is any of the Jays either. Right. So you know what I mean?
Exactly. He's been around the block, and he's caught enough that he knows how to play this game, and he's an incredible hitter.
Yeah.
It's one of those guys you definitely want to pick up. It's not a need for the Blue Jays by any means. Like
but it's definitely like it's a really good
it
gives you the ability to now make some trades too with your depth at catching. Right. Like exactly. You've got three kind of okay catchers.
Yeah.
That I'm sure
two that are definitely MLB ready that you know for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
In Kirk and Jansen, and then Reese has shown that he can hit in the big leagues.
He just needs to stay out of some parking lots, and he'll be set. We won't touch on that.
He doesn't run in trouble with the law. The guy's okay. And like the end of the year in 2019, he was really good. He hit over 300 for the last 2 months, and like the guy can hit, and he's shown it. So he's definitely a trade piece you could use if you bring in a guy like JT Realmuto.
Yeah.
So there's options out there for the Blue Jays. I've talked about them numerous times on the other podcasts I'm in, if you want to listen to it. But the options are there, and could be a fun year for the Jays. But
I'm just hoping that I'm hoping it's not an off season where it's like Jays are here, Jays are there, and then you get nothing out of it, which is always the chance. But I feel like, with the way that, especially because the Mets and the Jays have kind of been the two most heard names, and now one of them is taking themselves out with not even signing, with just a trade.
You're the only one left. Like, just do something.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like maybe somebody will will hopefully hop on that opportunity and just say, yeah, we're going to come here and be part of this organization. So plus, like, you're not going to be playing up here.
No.
Like, let's so that also right there could change a person, change a player's mind for coming here. Is that, I'm not going to Toronto anymore. We're staying down in the States, which makes it a little easier.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about borders and visas and all that. Like, I just heard my brother was telling me Kasperi Kapanen can't play right now because he can't get his work visa.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, so he's stuck in Finland right now because he can't get a work visa going to come to the States. So, like, you run into that problem if you're coming, even United States to Canada. Like, you can run into the problem where you can't get the visa to come over and play.
Right. Or even the papers. Dude, Braden Holtby was stuck at the border because his turtles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like that's what I mean. Like,
it took him a week or something to get across.
Things. Yeah,
it's just like all those little things now that if you're based in the United States already,
crazy,
yeah.
And I'm guessing like he would have to like. Is there any sort of? I guess there's no quarantine though because you just go into the States, so you're fine. Like you don't have to self-isolate after
Finland, so he would.
But you're going into the States.
For the NHL rules, it's 13 days that you have to stay quarantined.
Okay, so because of the NHL, but it's not
not in the States though.
Based, it's just NHL based. So so he's going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah, because he's still stuck. That sucks for him, obviously, because like he was supposed to be a pretty good part of that Pittsburgh team, and
but I mean, also though, it's like I wonder how late you left it though, right? Like,
could have been your fault, definitely.
You know what I mean?
You knew you're going to Pittsburgh for the past however many months.
Yeah, man. You're going there. You got a game to play.
But yeah, it brings up a good point though, because like you could have guys coming from the Dominican or just like anywhere not in North America that are trying to come over here, and like it's probably easier to get into the States that way than it is to try and get a work visa to come to Canada, because I know we're a little stricter on stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So if the option is to go to the States where you're usually based, then it's a little easier. But if you're trying to get into a completely new country, it's obviously difficult territory, right? Absolutely. So the season for sure would make it a little bit different for that. On the rest of baseball, I don't know the guy's name, but there was a former Los Angeles Angels employee.
Yeah, I kind of heard a little bit like
I caught like the beginning of the story, and I just haven't had the chance to read it all. But apparently,
his name.
Yeah, he's bringing out that there's been a handful of big name pitchers, not just pitchers, but big name pitchers.
He not only name dropped like a whole team of pitchers, but then he just name dropped like some stars.
Yeah, like he was saying, like the Angels obviously were an issue, but then he said so. Anyways, basically, these guys are doctoring balls. We didn't really mention that, but they've been trying to use illegal substances to doctor balls so that they can obviously get more spin on the ball and stuff like that. But he was throwing out names like the first one was Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole was the top name he threw out. But like we're talking about guys like Mad Max, Justin Verlander. Who the hell else was in? There was. Do you remember the other names in it? Do you have them in front of you?
Yeah, King Felix was on there.
Right, Felix.
Corey Kluber was on there, and Adam Wainwright were bigger, like some of the big names. His name is Brian Harkins, and in quotations, it's got Bubba. Bubba
Harkins.
Bubba.
So, if you don't know, this guy was fired from the Angels because of this exact reason, because apparently he got caught helping pitchers use illegal substances to cheat, basically, when he was with the Angels. So he got fired for it. And now he's just like, he's Mike Fiers-ing the situation, I would say. Like, he's kind of like, yeah, well, I'm not the only one. These guys are all coming to me about it. Now, the original text from Garrett Cole that he kind of, that they talked about, it seems a little dicey. Like, if you look at the conversation itself, like, the initial text is, hey, it's Garrett Cole. I need some help because I can't pitch, basically, was the whole... In summation.
He also said, like, I'm in, like, a sticky situation.
Yeah, it was like some stupid-ass pun that I don't...
He hints at it, but he doesn't hint at it, you know what I mean?
He winks at him, like...
he's, like, incognito, you know what I mean? He's trying to be all, like, on the slide, but...
That doesn't seem like a very Garrett Cole move. Maybe, I don't really know Garrett Cole as a person, so maybe it is, but... It does seem a little dicey that that's the initial thing. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he's just trying to bring a bunch of names down because he's pissed off at the Major League Baseball. Could be a thing. But if this is an actual story, that's insane. Dude, we're talking about we're talking about 3 of the past 4 Cy Young winners.
But do you think you're gonna be able to see where would the evidence show in this then? Like what because especially for nobody to catch this until somebody said it, you know what I mean? Like until it was, actually we were doing this, especially something with the ball. And because like how many people have tried something in the past, right? Where they've tried to cheat with the ball or cheat with even the bat type of deal. Pine tar, big thing. Like it's caught. You can see it. You know what I mean? All cameras are on them. Like
there's lots of situations where you've seen guys that have done it. And I'm trying. Clay Buchholz was a big one back when he was playing with the Red Sox. I remember that one because it was against the Jays.
Was it Michael Pineda?
Pineda. Thank you. Pineda was one because he had pine tar in his arm.
Yeah.
There's guys that have done it and you've seen it and you've caught it. And there was a guy with the Angels that ended up getting the coach fired.
Right.
But like, it's kind of weird to go back and be like, yeah, these guys have done it in the past and do anything about it without any proof other than, here's this text from Garrett Cole. Right?
I've got a message.
Yeah, I have. I'm in a bit of a sticky situation. Wink, wink. Like, I don't know how that.
Maybe he's that dumb.
Could be. He does look like that. Like he's not. I don't
know what I mean? Lights are on, but nobody's home. Just some like surfer dude type of deal. Like, hey, bud, trying to be funny about it. I've never heard the man talk, but like if he's got like a kind of like a surfer like drawl to him type of thing.
You never know.
Dude.
It's just it's
sticky situation, bro.
It's a wild situation. I would love to see it like.
That's just a lot of evidence to leave behind. You know what I mean? That's
that's a weird thing. I don't know. I would love to see it become true because I think it would be hilarious to just watch this story blow up.
What do you think that does for baseball then as a sport? Like
what the Astros thing did. Like that blew up the whole sport. Like the
Astros did it, then didn't Boston come out kind of
Boston was a little bit involved.
But they just came out and said, we but like on the coattails, they hid behind the shield. They used the meat shield of the Astros, and we're like, hey, us too, and then just like we're done.
And then they just kind of hid, like it wasn't.
We
did it, duck.
Yeah, hey, we did it. And we're
I mean, like you saw the kind of shit that the Astros took. If you're talking about these guys, like we're talking about premier pitchers in the leagues. There's 3 Cy Young winners on that list alone.
Yeah, what do you do at that point, man? Like,
can you if you can prove that they did it in their Cy Young years?
Especially now because I think we've talked about this in the past too. Everybody said that what you did with the Astros was way too light, was not enough punishment. So now you have this guy coming forward, and if you can prove it, these 3 guys could lose years, and especially for somebody, Verlander could be done. That could be it. He's up in his mid-30s. I think above 35, I believe.
Gone too. Like you don't really know what he's got left.
Mad Max 30s.
These are guys that are near the end of their carears, but like
I don't know Garrett Cole's age, but like they're just like Kluber over 30, Wainwright 30, over 30. Like they're at the end. That's it.
Did Felix retired officially yet? I don't know.
Felix, he took last year off, but I don't know if he's actually.
I don't know. So it's one of the. It's going to be a fun story to watch in the future for sure.
Yeah.
Shifting gears. There's a little bit of news that popped up just before we started actually in hockey. Elliot Friedman
breaking.
Yeah, well, it's not big news, but Elliot Friedman.
This is big news. I'm reading it right now.
David Backes, Jeremy Bracco, and Nick Patan all got placed on waivers, along with a bunch of other smaller names that really aren't a huge deal. But David Backes is one I looked at because the Ducks traded for him in the end of last season for Andre Kasha. And it kind of sucks if you're David Backes. Like, this is a guy, he's been a consummate pro his entire career, and like obviously his contract sucks.
Yeah, it's a big contract.
Really hate to see it.
Yeah,
but it kind of sucks to just see him like fade away into the darkness. Like
former captain too, eh? Like that's a real long fall.
Hurts. I don't like it. And then Jeremy Bracco is a guy that was supposed to be the next big thing in Toronto, and like he was this huge prospect that looked great in the World Juniors, and has just done nothing. Got released by the Leafs and then picked up by the Hurricanes, and now he's back on waivers at 22.
That's tough, eh? Some teams gonna probably, but you know what I mean. 22, at least you have age on that side. Where Backus, like he doesn't have.
He's kind of time on his side. That's kind of the end of your career. But this is a kid that was supposed to be like an incredible prospect and come up and play on line one with Matthews and do all this stuff here and be on the power play and do a great job. And he's already been through 2 teams at age 22.
Yeah.
Now he could stick with Carolina and hang out in their AHL system, but like even still,
he might take the Jonathan Drouin route and just like say, okay, I'm going back to the AHL. I'm going to figure my shit out and I'll be up. Like, okay,
nuts.
Like, and then but that's big.
Yeah, Nick Patan's not surprising to me.
No, I think there's not enough room there, and
I think they're trying to squeeze him through without anyone noticing.
But they also didn't have a lot of trust in him. You know what I mean? When it was time to put him out there, they did not give him not only like continuous games, but just like opportunities to do much.
He's definitely a Dubas guy, but there's just not a lot of room for him because there's just so many of them that he's a great piece to have.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be the starter on your team, so there's no sense in dicking around with him. Send him down. Maybe he gets claimed. If he gets claimed and he goes to succeed somewhere else, awesome, good for him. I really like the kid. He was great in the World Juniors. He had a great career in junior hockey in general, and then just hasn't really panned out so much in the NHL. He's looked okay at times, but he's not.
Yeah, hasn't looked great.
No, I would love to see him go succeed somewhere if it's not Toronto, but who knows, right? Maybe. Again, he could just go down and stick it out in the AHL again like he did last year. But
yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see him. All three of them. Like you hate to see it. Like you hate to see these guys like rot away where they should have been really good. Two of them prospects and back as you just hope to see ride out his career in the NHL.
I mean, he could find another system that works for him. Even he, like with St. Louis, bring him back type of deal. Like it's just like for the right amount of money. Yeah.
Problem is if he clears waivers, they'd have to buy him out.
Right.
And I don't think you want to do that if you're Anaheim.
Not if you're Anaheim. That'd be kind of dumb money.
Sucks. Yeah.
But
that's tough. But oh well. That's life. To the only important team in the NHL though.
It's a big stretch.
The Leafs they brought up yesterday, I think it was, that Austin Matthews is going to be a part-time penalty killer on this team now. It's about fucking time, is all I can say.
I love it.
Yes, this guy is a unit. He's a great player in his own end that nobody really picks up on because he's never been on the PK.
And he works hard, man. Like that's one thing I feel like is really good about having him, and that I kind of underrated about the Leafs getting him was I thought he was going to be another like I got a lot of talent and I'm going to let my talent show. But no, he's now worked hard, especially when he's
got a complete game.
Yeah, you know what I mean. He plays the whole ice. He's really like I find him in position a lot of the time. You know what I mean? He's constantly looking around for what could be opening and reading plays, and I think they're really going to help. Like it's really going to help his game to now get some penalty kill experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like this is a guy that should have been there for a while now. Like he does a good job when he's.
And it's a test run too because it's a short season.
Yep.
So like you don't have to play like especially at a part-time penalty killer like what 20 games.
Yeah,
and
if it doesn't work out,
right,
then you have other guys that can do it. Like you brought in Jumbo Joe for this reason.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's worth risking it. If he sucks, he sucks. Who cares?
Even like isn't Marner still like a penalty killer?
Yeah, you still have Marner. You still have a few other guys.
Right. Kerfoot when
I'm here for it.
Kerfoot like I haven't seen too much of the
one. You have Hyman still. The one thing that this team has been lacking in the past few years is their penalty kill has never had a center on it. They're running like Hyman, Kapanen, and Marner. I guess Freddie the Goat for a little bit.
But you need to win faceoffs though as well.
That's
like
so
at any point in the ice to get possession of the puck. You need to win faceoffs and get out of your end because a lot of the faceoffs are in your end. And I feel like that's where the Leafs
if you lose the faceoff, it's so hard to get possession of that puck because there's 5 of them.
And a lot of
the
Leafs
around like nothing.
Their plan is like a sit back and a wait almost. Like they're not as big. Maybe they've changed it as of recent, but they weren't as big as attacking the puck. Like they didn't do the aggressive, we're going to chase you down and force you into a play to move it. Like we're going to sit back and wait for you to take some shots and try to stay in the lanes, but they weren't staying in the lanes.
No.
They're just adding screens and adding bodies that the pucks are going to bounce off of and like one of them's going to go in.
I can't find the numbers, but from what I've been told, Austin Matthews was second among forwards in takeaways last year, behind only Mark Stone. So this is a guy that he's going to get you the puck if he has to. So it makes a ton of sense to have him out there.
And you get takeaways from working hard. That's what that says to me. That is a work hard category.
In his own end. Like, contrary to popular opinion, too, because a lot of people just seem to think that, he can't do it. But, I mean, he's done it, and he has the numbers to prove it.
Right.
So, yeah.
It'll be fun. Since even the Babcock era. You know what I mean? That's when I think he really found that piece of I need to play two ways and I need to play hard, and that's what Babs loved about him always. Like, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, they had their issues, I'm sure, but I'm one point that Babs always stretched is that forwards play defense too.
He was
and that was huge.
they like to play a really boring type of hockey where a lot of the time where you just kind of hang out in your own end and do all that. And I think Matthews learned a lot from that. But there's just been this narrative that like the defense can't get it done. And I think if you're looking at this team now, arguably their defense is probably the best in the division, no?
Oh, okay, like I looked it up and I started going through some depth charts and
let's go down the list. Okay, so they're better than Ottawa.
But are we talking like just like we're talking full like just, 5-on-5 defensively? No, like
their defense in general, like their 6 D-men they roll out there.
The top 3 I absolutely love in Muzzin, Riley, Brody. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hall, I'm not sure what I'm getting.
I don't know.
I don't think they're showing much trust in Dermott these days for some reason. I don't think that he's kind of just
you just don't know.
Yeah, and like Bogosian's a big pickup, but you know what I mean, he's definitely just a bottom liner, right? He's a third line D pairing. Mm-hmm. And maybe, you know what I mean, he can be up there for the second line if you need a bigger body and some penalty kills, sure. But he's not going to be able to keep up with everybody. And
no, but you're also so now you're rotating. You have obviously your top 4 set. You have Riley, Brody, Muzzin, probably Hall. I don't like it, but probably Hall. But then your back 2 pairing is kind of just rotated through Mikko Lehtinen, Rasmus Sandin, Travis Dermott, and Zach Bogosian. And
okay, but that's another question.
As a unit,
what Sandin are you getting?
No clue.
You don't know.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
He's a question mark. But the thing is he could end up being your 7 or 8 D-man because you have these other guys. Like Mikko Lehtinen should be disgusting. What he can do and what he's done in the KHL has been unbelievable. He's an incredible puck mover, really good defender. He'll be great. I have a lot of faith in him being really good on this Leafs team. Mm-hmm. So you already have him that if Sandin doesn't work out, you have that option. And I think he's the primary option. But then you can rotate him to the right side. You could use Travis Dermott, who's shown that he can be an NHL player, especially on your third pair.
I don't know if I feel that comfortable, though, with the rotation because you're not getting into that sense of rhythm of this is my D partner, this is their
I'm not saying you're going to rotate it every game.
No, absolutely.
If one guy's not working out, you have someone behind him that can
that could also rattle a lot of these players, knowing that, you know what, if I'm in the bottom like 2 to 3 of these D-men, then I'm not going to be in here.
It all depends on how they take it, right? Like you take it as like a chip on your shoulder, like I need to be better. Apparently, Sandin has come out flying. Like apparently he worked out hard in the offseason. He's bigger. He's stronger.
I feel, but that could also, you know what I mean? It works the other way as well, where it lights a fire under their ass and it's competition and it's best man up. And that's what you want out of your NHL player. You know what I mean? I want somebody who's going to compete every single day to be exactly where they are.
Yep.
And work so hard for it.
With that being said, they have 8 NHL quality defensemen.
Right.
Whereas if you go down the rest of the Canadian list, like start at Ottawa. Ottawa doesn't scare me on their back end.
No, they got pieces, like they got like placeholders.
They're okay, but they're not like they're gonna be good.
Your 1 to 6 is too far on the back end, right? Like that's where it just drops out.
Montreal has 2 D-men next on the list. Am I wrong? Like outside of Weber, who isn't anywhere near our top 2 in my opinion.
No.
And Petry's really good with the puck, terrible in his own end.
Right. They picked up Joel Edmondson, who I like as him as
a 3 guy. Like
I don't think that they're there. But if we're also including offense as well with all 5 players now, like they've got some pretty good.
Sure, their team defense. They might be. They're definitely better. Yeah. They're better set up in their system. But just defensemen alone, we have a better defensive unit.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so then if it's just defensemen, like Montreal doesn't make that list. Then for me, I think the team that really pushes it for me is Vancouver.
Vancouver's close.
But
Vancouver was okay defensively last year, not great.
No.
They lost a couple guys.
But they've also added a couple guys though.
Nate Schmidt, who I like Nate Schmidt. I think he's a great NHL defenseman, but
Travis Hamonic is there on a PTO.
Hamonic had a rough year last year.
Right, but he's on a PTO, and as your bottom 6, like that's okay. And you know Tyler Myers is still there. Oli Levy is there. Like they have the potential.
They are. I think they are the closest thing to what the Leafs are. They still have Alex Edler, who's been a consummate pro his whole career.
Right.
Oli Levy, you have no idea what he's doing.
Man. Like I
he should be good. Like he has the ability to be good.
Yeah.
just
he has the ability to be just ridiculous. I love that draft choice.
Yeah,
and I thought he was going to be where Quinn Hughes is. You know what I mean? Like that type of player. I thought that's what you're getting, and then it would be the two of them. But you don't know what is there. But I like having Tyler Myers, his size really, and Jordy Ben is like annoying. Like he's an annoying.
Be a nice
defenseman.
7D man. You're right.
And Nate Schmidt, man. Let's not forget he's what, like 3 years away or removed from being up in the conversation of, I'm blanking on the trophy right now. Yep, there it is.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. I think they would be the closest. I don't think Winnipeg's in the conversation. Edmonton's definitely not in the conversation now that Klefbom's out.
No,
Calgary.
I looked at Calgary for a bit just because their top four is solid, I find.
Yeah.
But that's when it goes, 5-6 is.
They're 5-6, and then I don't even know what 7 is, right?
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like how good Michael Stone is, or anybody of that nature. Yeah, I don't even know any of their their European players.
Tanev Giordano going to be good. Hannafin, great D-man. Rasmus Anderson looked good last year, but Juuso Valimaki and Nikita Nesterov, I'm like, it's shaky. It could be one of those situations where I'm in Toronto and I hear a lot more about our guys, so I put them above them.
Yep.
But it's not a unit that I think is set out to be great. Personally, I don't know. And then I think that's it.
And they've lost, let's not forget, man, they lost TJ Brody to the Leafs. They've lost. And then they lost Travis Hamonic now, who obviously they said they wanted to get rid of, but that does put a little bit of a gap there, especially for your
for sure
your players, like your defensive end. So I think Vancouver's gonna be the best defensive team. Right. Yeah, just looking at it right now, I think they're gonna be a lot better than they were.
Holtby in the net scares me though.
Yeah, but Thatcher Demko also actually scares me, to be honest, because
it's interesting.
He showed you a lot of potential for sure, but it was a very, very short amount of time.
He was not great in the regular season. Like he was getting a lot of shit from people in the regular season, and then just balled out in the playoffs.
Right, and like I understand that. Like there's some guys when the going is on, like it's on, but like with
Matt Murray,
the NHL, you got to play a full season, man. Matt Murray got run out of Pittsburgh before he was even
real quick.
3 years as the only starter there. It was 2-3 years, and then he was out.
Yeah, he played 4 seasons, I think.
Yeah,
and like he was hurt for most of them, and people still ran him out of town.
Yeah, like there's very few players who can kind of step in the playoffs and then continue success. Like Jordan Binnington, I think maybe is struggling a little.
Could be on that Matt Murray.
Right, and that's what I find with goalies is a lot of these goalies come in and make a good playoff run, and then they just can't repeat that. And one of the things I remember Chicago doing was when Antti Niemi took over the net, and he was a free agent that year, and they didn't sign him; they let him walk to the Sharks.
Yeah,
and a lot of people questioned it, like, why aren't you bringing him back? You guys just want a cup, yada, yada. But it was also like, we're not just going to pay him because he decided to show up in the playoffs, and that's it. He's going to be our goalie now because they understand that it's a full season.
You got to be able to play for 82 games a year. And I don't know, at 25 years old, Thatcher Demko is just like, you don't know. He could be that guy that was in the playoffs. Who knows? But it's real tough to just like, here's the weight on your shoulders at 25 years old because Braden Holtby can't carry the weight.
No, but now an interesting name, and I think he's actually kind of injured right now, though, is Michael DiPietro, who not the greatest
so he should be
at
okay.
all. But like he's not.
He's also not a guy. He was not. He had one start in the NHL, and it didn't look good.
No, but he's someone that's there. You know what I mean? He played for Team Canada, so he's obviously something like the World Juniors. He's also something like he's got some skill.
The talent's there, and you hope that he can find it.
Yeah. But no, Braden Holtby definitely, if he's there by himself, that's a really, really tough ask.
Yeah. Yep. Sticking with hockey, I didn't really want to bring it up, but we lost. Team Canada, they looked great, and they're arguably the best team that ever got put together. But they went up against a really good USA team, and shout out to the U.S. They did something right this month, and it has nothing to do with what their country did, but their hockey team was great because they shut us down defensively. And
they looked like everywhere. You know, like when you watch the game, it felt like it was 10-on-5 every point. Like they would be everywhere Canada was. There was nothing that was consistently flowing in. It was just...
The thing was, is like, Canada all tournament was really good at counterattacking, but it was one of those things that if the U.S. got in their zone, they were breaking down the defense, and they couldn't counterattack because they couldn't get the puck.
No.
And then when they finally got the puck, it was they had 7 guys in their own end. It felt like because they were just locking everything down.
And in the third period, I found that Canada had obviously have to take a lot more risk being down 2-0, but their D-men finally got the ability to jump in. They were getting a bit more chances, but at that point, it's like it's too little, too late. You're not in the flow.
Yeah.
You're also worried now. Like,
and they were the only ones getting chances, arguably. Like you didn't see a lot of forwards getting primo looks.
No.
Byfield missed 2 in close that he probably should have had. Yep. And that was about it that I saw from the forwards. Cole Perfetti took a lot of bad
just took advantage of some really like some brain farts in Canada's game, like Hayden Gooley did not pick up Turcotte in front of the net. Easy tip. Like that dude is just sitting there waiting for it. Yeah. And then the second goal by Zegras.
That's just shit luck where it bounces off the net.
But he's like in the perfect position.
Best player in the tournament.
And he finds the open ice.
Yeah, it sucks. That one's a tough one to take because it's just like
right. But you know what though?
Bounce just to the left a little bit and we're fine.
But yeah, you have to tip your caps to the American players, man. Like the American players just stepped in, yeah.
Now they're not the better country.
Nope.
5 sure. This is where we can talk about things that are going on. This is cool. Did you obviously you saw what's going on?
Yeah, so we actually we were at work and we just fired on the radio because it was it was just mayhem, right? Like my phone starts going off with some reports and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is a big deal. Like there is a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It all happened so fast.
Oh, incredibly fast.
Like you just kind of heard about it and all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, Olympus has fallen basically. It's kind of what it felt like.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, go Canada, we're way better this and that." But I'm real glad to be up here for this moment in history.
That's incredibly terrifying. Yeah. To be part of that, you know what I mean? Like when we read in history about the last time that the Capitol building was actually stormed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when 200 years.
12, 13, 14, I think it was.
Just
it's been a long time.
Dude, it is not something that you want to remember being part of in history. Like that is not cool.
It's one of those things that I'm not going to sit here and say our country's perfect. We have a lot of issues, and I know a lot of the indigenous cultures there's a lot of issues there. The government treats them pretty poorly for the most part. I get it. However, the people in our country, we don't have 83 million people voting for an idiot in charge. As much as I didn't like Andrew Scheer when he was the other candidate, I wouldn't have been that bummed if it was Andrew Scheer. This is not the Trump versus Biden conversation here with Trudeau versus Andrew Scheer at the time. We're talking about a guy that has divided an entire country and done a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, he is really he's taken the integrity of politics and just thrown it away. There's no actual point where politics were in play here. It was really awful to see, and I don't think people expected it to be that intense. You know what I mean? To the point where it was like they were scared to even be in their own country, and that's not something that you want.
It's wild. This is it. He brainwashed 83 million people into thinking that they just had this election stolen from them.
Right.
It's not even you know what? I get it if he's in these trials to try and overturn things and things are going a little bit well for them and they're winning a case here and there. They have not won anything. And he's brainwashed them all to they're convinced that they're being stolen from, despite the fact that they've lost every trial and they have no evidence.
And it's becoming incredibly scary now. That is just even being here, I felt very nervous that something was gonna happen.
Yeah, we're not that far from the border.
No,
it's I don't foresee us getting too involved in it.
No,
but if something happens, there's always the chance that we kind of get the blowback from it.
But even still, there's a ripple effect for everything.
Yeah,
right? With every action, there's a reaction, and that's going to be a very interesting situation. And I know that things have kind of cooled down now, and I think curfew is going to stay in place. They're going to try to. I think even you know what I mean. But so whatever, hopefully it all goes smooth. I don't even think Trump's going to be there. Is what he said.
No,
is that he's not going to go to the inauguration.
I got to give it to him. His speech on the day, absolutely terrible. It was the ugliest thing I've ever heard. It was basically I'm so proud of you guys, but it's time to go home. Is what it sounded like. It's oh, we love you. You're so special. Ooh. I understand you're upset, but it's time to go home. It's come on, man. You could have done way better than that. But the speech he put out yesterday, he did kind of he went against it a little bit, where he was talking about like, if you're breaking the law here, you're gonna pay, and you don't represent our country, and like basically just shredded a lot of his followers. I'm like, you know what? I hate the guy. I don't like anything he's done, but that one I'm like, I respect, even if you don't believe it. I don't give a shit if you believe a word that comes out of your mouth.
They'll believe it. They'll believe what comes out of your mouth.
Right. You just got to say something that's going to just stop this shit for a little bit so we can get through this. And you know what? If you want to keep fighting it, go keep fighting your election. I don't really care. You're going to lose, but go ahead. Just don't bring on this whole, like, let's go march down to the Capitol. And
it needs to be peaceful. And especially at a time like this where, you know, I mean, you can't really be gathering.
No, exactly.
You're just creating more world turmoil and just more world crisis, and that's not what you want right now. And yeah, I'm happy it kind of, you know, it actually ended pretty
I'm glad it wasn't. Though, you know, it did get worse. It could get worse from here. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely, but it was still a pretty terrible result. The fact that 4 people were dead, like that's not cool. That's not something that we can just like be okay with.
Now, obviously, there's the other side of the argument that a lot of people have been having, where you look at the comparison in the Black Lives Matter protest compared to what this one was. Obviously, it's handled different, and clearly, like, this is not news. We know there's a systemic problem down there. So, I mean, I understand where people are getting fired up. I agree with you. I think that should have been handled differently, sure, but this is not news.
How does it get that far though? Like, that's where the biggest concern is, that they knew about this the day before. You know what I mean? And you just didn't take it. You didn't take it seriously, and that's a huge issue.
It's nuts. And like, I understand. I get your frustration if you're on that side. It's definitely true. There's a systemic problem. But like, at this point, like, I think the racism part of this is like the secondary story in a sense to me. Because like, yeah, it's a big problem, but we know that. What's the issue here is this entire country's divided on everything right now. Not even racism alone. Like, we're talking about like just there's 2 different sides of this. This looks like potential civil war.
And I feel like there's a lot of animosity right now between just people in general. Like, there's a lot of like just terror, and just like really is like what it's down to is like you're scared because you don't know about the other person now. We've now been in a world where you kind of have to fear everybody else that you don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Which is it's not going to create good interactions, and everybody's, you know, high emotions, high strung. And they don't know when this is going to end, and it already feels like it's going on forever.
It's crazy.
And that's where like tensions are just super high, and you go down there where they're trying to deal with, you know, problem A, B, C through Z, like Z as they'd call it. But it's just so much that they're trying to do, you know, and it's tough because, like you're saying right there, right. So it's not only a protest about, you know, presidency and a political thing, but it's now becoming like a race thing, and
it's a race war, is what it is.
And that's what sucks about it, is that it snowballs from one right.
Yeah. On top of the fact that it's a political war, it's a race war at this point.
And you could throw that it could be a gun war. Then why do people have guns on there? And then it could be a police thing. Why like this is it goes so many different levels.
It's
and that's
so deep, and I understand where all the issues lie, but there's just so much going on here that you got to break down, that it worries me right now because I don't see it coming to an end.
No.
Even if Trump full heel turns and like decides that like, oh, we're wrong, there's still so much of this ingrained into people's heads that just like they're going to keep fighting for their country, quote unquote, because it just seems like the right thing to do for them because they're protecting the sacredcy of their land, essentially.
Yeah, I'm understanding there's not going to be, hopefully, like a huge. I hope that this is worse than
Hopefully there's no war.
Yeah, right, absolutely. But I hope that this is
bottom line
the bad that it, like the bottom that we get to, right? This is rock bottom for this situation.
Hopefully.
Now let's go up from there, right? But that's what I'm hoping, is that we're just going to go up from there, and that any sort of, you know, recourse back, like just like a little reaction back, is not as bad as what that was.
Yeah, hopefully that is the worst it gets. Hopefully it doesn't go any further. Look, I don't want to see the U.S. in shambles. I think it's better for the world when they're doing well.
Right.
Because they're the center of everything. Like as much as you don't want to admit it, they're the center of everything.
And it's been incredibly tough for like sports as it impacts like the way sports works, because now you have to go like for the NHL, they've done literally divided divisions where like you know, not everybody on Canadian teams is a Canadian, right? As we've said, not everybody that plays in American teams is American. Like Kasperi Kapanen is literally stuck.
Never has the United States, that in recent memory, maybe long before us, but in recent memory, never has the United States played a role in the world as much as it has right now. Right. Like it's turned everything on its head, and anything that's like public is just being dominated right now because the U.S. is in shambles and they can't figure itself out right now.
Yeah, it has not been peaceful by any stretch.
It's rough,
and that's where it's it's tough to watch. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There is one good thing happening in the U.S. this weekend, though.
The U.S. will always agree to come together on their favorite sport. Okay. Now,
it does not matter left or right. You're coming on Saturday, Sunday to watch football.
Right. Now, you may be, baseball may be America's favorite pastime.
But it's not. Not
football, because football is on for such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Americans love it. They go full force into it.
Yep.
I'll never forget my first football game. It will be the best experience of my life. You literally saw everything that you thought you'd see, especially going to Buffalo.
So
I got to go to
Buffalo is a time.
You guys have the best team. I don't even care that I'm a Patriots fan and that we hate each other. I will always go down to see the Bills.
Bills fan deep down in here my entire life.
Dude, that is the best experience ever. I wish that we were there for the table days. I would love to see that.
I saw one guy go through a table.
I wish I was there for the table days.
It was kind of like one of those things. It's like, well, we got to do it because we're Bills fans. Like they had no reason. It wasn't even really that hype. But this guy's like, well, I got to go through a table. So Buddy picks him up and throw him through a table. I'm like, this is Buffalo. I love it. Yes. They're walking around in those like striped pants and.
I destroyed somebody's grass because you're allowed to park on the grass there, and the town just pays to refix it. And I destroyed their grass. I got almost stuck
in people's front yards.
Yes, I was literally the second that I started getting out of my car. Cracked a beer. Nobody said a single word.
No, this is like 8 a.m.
Yeah,
it's not like
it's awesome.
I love it. I love
football. They love, dude, college football. Oh my god, because you can't bring alcohol into the stadium. They just make sure they're drunk enough for the 4-hour game, which has bands and all these like alumni and just all this shit that goes on, and you're drunk for the whole thing, but you can't drink inside.
My absolute favorite thing at the Bill Stadium. I hate it personally, but it's my favorite thing to see. Is people get so hammered, and when you get that drunk, you gotta pee every 10 minutes.
Oh my god, yeah.
The problem with the stadium that the Bills play in is there's like one bathroom. And you're trying to pack every human being in that building into that bathroom. And
that's incredibly true.
To get into that bathroom.
Yeah.
So like you get in line, you go pee, great. And then you got to get back in line so that by the time you're at the front of the line, you got to go pee again. You don't watch the game when you go there. If you're drinking, you don't watch the game. You just show up and you enjoy the bathrooms of the Bill Stadium.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember I went once and it probably took me a good 20 minutes. And it was intense, that line. You just stand there. Everybody's like staring at each other. There's so many drunk people just hooting and hollering. Like, it is fantastic.
It was
the best thing that I saw, man.
Yeah.
The best thing that I saw there was, well, actually, okay, there's two. The guy that got into a fight there, the fan, was wearing a New Orleans Saints jersey. So he wasn't even wearing a jersey of anybody that was playing. Just wearing a Saints jersey. And then, this is in like January or February. I think it's January. So it is cold. But obviously not February. I didn't go see the Super Bowl. January. No, I didn't fucking go. I went to the Super Bowl in Buffalo back in, whatever that was. But yeah, so we go to a game. This guy is shirtless the whole time. Dude, it was negative temperatures. And this man is shirtless the entire game and just warm with beer. That is it. The bathroom line is long. The beer line is fast. Dude.
There's no beer line. You just walk up, get one, and go. It's it.
There's no bathroom because
line to get alcohol.
There's supposed to be a bathroom.
It's nuts. I love it.
There's supposed to be a bathroom. It's just a beer concession. There's actually no concessions. All they sell is beer.
It's the complete opposite of anything in Toronto when you go. Because if you're trying to get a beer at a Leaf game or a Jays game or anything, you're waiting 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you go to the bathroom line in between plays or anything, there's nobody there. No. You walk in, you walk out. Done.
Everybody's waiting in the beer line trying to get
drunk. When you're done the beer line, you hand your beer to someone, you go to the bathroom, you come back out. That's it. You don't need to wait in that line.
You go to the States, man. Yeah, it is just beer on beer on beer. And like, that's the thing, is you're drinking before the game, you're drinking at the game. And then there's a lot of cars there, which is why it's called tailgating.
Yep.
They'll just fucking
just go.
And go home.
It's insane. But Bills fans are great. I love them. Like we went to that game, and I remember standing in line, and these two guys from Buffalo were in front of us.
Yeah.
And one of us were wearing something Canada related, and they're like, "Oh, you guys from Canada?" Yeah, for sure. He goes, "Oh, you guys know Spit and Chicklets?" Like instant hockey thing. I'm like, that's great, but yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Big fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
There
it's
was a
just like
guy.
they're so friendly, despite the fact that they
Yeah.
look like a bunch of idiots.
There was a guy beside me, Patriots fan, and I just saw these two Buffalo fans, like 2 rows down, giving him the finger. And little did I know they're actually buddies, but they're,
Yeah.
2 rows separate, and he's a Patriots fan. So I lean over, give them the finger too, and I'm like, you know what? I'm helping my buddy. They laughed. They just had a good time. Afterwards, when they left, I was like, hey, have a good season. They're just like, yeah, if Josh Allen ever finds his fucking arm. Like, cool, man.
They're great. Obviously,
Awesome.
there's some rowdy idiots in the bunch, but as a whole, Bills fans love it.
Oh, dude, I'm a fan.
A lot of fun. I would go back in a heartbeat if I could.
Yeah, but football is by far their favorite sport. So don't let anybody tell you different.
We're gonna have a little bit of peace on Saturday, Sunday, and
because all the Americans are inside watching.
All the Trump supporters, especially, they're gonna be down there watching football. We're fine. Don't you worry.
I'll be right there with them.
I will not be down there, but I will be here.
No, I'll be here watching. I just meant on my couch,
Yeah, and I will be very disappointed watching the Browns lose because they have nothing going right for them right now.
Wow, you lose your head coach.
Not only is it just the head coach, but like he calls everything. He calls the plays.
He literally is the man.
He's the guy. He is the reason they're a playoff team.
Is he allowed to even be on a mic anywhere though? Like, is he able to be on somewhere? Like, even put him in his own like room, and he's just up above calling things.
That's my thing. Is like, why don't they just set it up so they quarantine him in like the booths above the stadium so that he can just?
Or maybe you're not allowed. I guess because you have it there, you're not allowed in. Like, you have to quarantine. So just give it to him at his house then. Just have him like DAZN the whole thing.
Yeah. Get him a stream. Get him a feed where it's live and mic it. I guess they're not going to do that though because the NFL seems to pick sides on these COVID battles and they have all year long.
Yeah.
So this isn't the Ravens in this situation, so they're not going to do that. And it's Steelers on the other side, so they're not going to do that.
No.
But they could. They just won't because Cleveland has to be the enemy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to see them lose. We don't want to see
which sucks because I honestly was in full belief that Cleveland was going to win this week.
So good. I love that team this year. They're fun. They're like
they are unstoppable with the run. The way that they use Chubb and Hunt,
crazy inconsistent. You never know what team's going to show up.
No,
but they're so fun when they're playing, man. Like Baker looks great this year. Like tough start, but after that looked great.
And in a season where you lost OBJ, right? Like he doesn't even have OBJ, and I think
better when OBJ left.
And one thing that they did was they went out and got Austin Hooper, who I think is really good. You know what I mean? Paid like he looked at tight ends. He wants to hit his tight ends, and you need somebody who can catch that ball.
The guy hits everybody now.
Yep.
It's incredible. He's hitting like your 4-string wide receivers.
Myles Garrett has put the fear in everybody. Like not even just in Mason Rudolph, but literally every quarterback. Like
Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, the man that beat a man with a helmet last year.
His own helmet, ripped it from his head and beat his ass with it.
And he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for Cleveland. He's a great guy.
He's an awesome guy. He made a mistake. He learned. He's back.
And he came back from that suspension and was dynamite this season. Yeah. Even like he had COVID and it kind of hurt him a bit, but like his sack numbers before
team COVID, a little bit, man. I had him there. It sucked.
His sack numbers before COVID were ridiculous. He's done great work on like pass coverage this year. He's dropped back well.
Dude, this is a team that you've seen before, and this is a team that you understand how to beat, and you did beat.
Yeah.
Even without, you know what I mean? Like, I understand that Big Ben obviously helps a lot, but one thing but what can Big Ben not do right now is fucking run. He cannot move.
No. I think you're
giving
fine,
Myles Garrett a standing
they can lock
target.
up that pass game and crush the pocket all they want. I don't think I think Ben's gonna have a little bit of trouble getting the ball off.
Yeah. You're giving Myles Garrett a fucking standing target. Like, that's it. He's not moving. He's just there. That's like hitting the pads.
We know if Denzel Ward's back this week?
Not off the top of my head. But
sure he'll be back. So, maybe. I mean...
But they still got, like, I think Olivier Vernon's on that team.
They're a good defense.
Sheldon Richardson's just, like, big body in the middle, like, he's...
It'll be a fun game.
They've got pieces, and I feel
I wish Kevin Stefanski was there. I think it would just make it way better. I think the Browns had a chance in that game, and I still think they could pull it off. But it sucks that they're in that type of situation. I just wish things went better.
Yeah.
Any other matchups you want to talk about? There's some interesting ones. I think the Ravens-Titans is going to be an interesting one, obviously.
I just think the Titans are going to do it again, man. They're going to run all over everything.
I just think the Ravens are on a mission right now.
They look like it, but like the thing is that Lamar Jackson is struggling throwing the ball, and that's where Tennessee kind of puts you in.
Not lately though. Like he's been more passing yards and rushing yards and looked great doing it. Marquise Brown's been resurrected in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, but I feel like they're going to be able to do. And Derrick Henry is unstoppable. Like I can never count against Derrick Henry.
Titans pass defense is ass. Like they looked horrible last week against Deshaun Watson.
Right. Okay, but I think Deshaun Watson is a better passer than Lamar Jackson is.
Sure. For sure. But Deshaun Watson's also not as good at scrambling with the ball as Lamar Jackson is.
No, but I don't need a running back. I need a quarterback.
I think it's going to be a good game. I'm giving it to the Ravens because they seem like they're on a mission the last 5 weeks, and that's a team that's going to be tough. It could go either way because Derrick Henry exists.
The one thing that's changed too is that Tannehill's really become a lot better with the ball, and he doesn't throw many picks now, and his receivers are fast. Like you want to talk about speedy receivers, he's got them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Corey Davis, man, Brown are just unbelievably quick and breakaway.
They have weapons, and they have Derrick Henry, who can easily win you football games, and he's shown in the past. He nearly brought them to the Super Bowl last year.
I think he has the ability to do it again this year.
It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, absolutely. I give it to the Titans, though, I think.
Okay. What was the other one I want to mention? Oh, I got a question for you. Because as long as I've known you, you've been a Patriots fan.
I have been a Patriots fan.
I'm assuming you're still a Patriots fan.
As long as I've known me, I've been a Patriots fan.
Right. As long as you've known you.
Yep.
Are you a Tom Brady fan still?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So are you cheering for the Bucs?
You know what's funny? I would say yes normally, but because I know that they're going to win, I'm actually kind of cheering for the football team because the football team just kind of had my heart. You know what I mean? I love Alex Smith's story.
It's a great story.
Alex Smith to come back from that kind of injury, and I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of his leg, but I almost threw up when I saw it. It was
he almost died.
That bad. Yeah. I love that Dwayne Haskins just decided he's going to have his own little strip club in his hotel room, and now he's not even part of the team. You know, I mean, they were expected to do nothing, especially facing the adversity of you just lost your franchise name, the name that you've always pretty well always been on. Maybe
shout out to them for that too, because they were the first team to do it. And I know it was team. Not like the issue came up and they're like, all right, cool, we'll do it. It took a long time.
Yeah.
But they were the team that set it in motion, and now they're not the only team that have done it. Like teams have followed suit. So good on them for that. And then not only that, you get a new head coach, and your new head coach has cancer. Right. So he's not even really prepped for the season. And then your quarterback isn't really ready to play in Alex Smith. And he finally gets ready, then he gets hurt. And Dwayne Haskins sucks.
Oh, he does.
It's like you're struggling with quarterbacks to figure it out. And then you bring back Alex Smith again, who's on half a leg at this point, and he's great. He's 5-2.
I know.
As a quarterback.
If he plays, that's what I mean. I like that team. I like their defense too. I think Chase Young is going to be unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Even the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, even Sweat is good. I like all their corners, their safeties. They just have a solid team. But you know what I mean? When it comes down to it, even without Mike Evans playing, Tom Brady with Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Chris Godwin.
Gronk has resurrected his career.
Yes, and you knew that was going to happen. And the thing that Arians said to them is Brady's calling the plays.
Yep.
And that's exactly what was the agreement before, and that's why Gronk has figured it out. And dude, he took how many years off and came back?
Yeah. And then on top of that, all the years he was injured before that, he wasn't really healthy in his last few years of playing.
Right. But Tom Brady he has that win ability, and I understand that the football team, have faced their adversity. They knocked off the Steelers, their undefeated season, which is great, but the Bucs just have too many weapons and they've got too much experience. And their defense, the Bucs defense, don't get me wrong, has really put them in a spot.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
They've had some bad games. Their game against the Saints was awful.
Right.
But when they show up, man, that defense is tough.
They're so aggressive, and they make you nervous to do anything. You know what I mean? You want to run, they're going to stop the run, and then they're going to throw it. They're going to intercept you. It's so tough to figure it out.
Team. Yeah, they're a good team. I'm worried that Tom Brady doesn't have it in him anymore, just because his deep threat ability is not there, and that's a lot of what the receivers on the Bucs are. But
at the same time, Mike Evans is just a go up and get it. Mike Evans, I would trust in any one-on-one coverage.
Yeah.
Like just and even still, like I love every matchup they have. Antonio Brown, man, he was known for quick routes though with
Yep.
Big Ben. That's what he lived his career. Like he's just gonna outrun you.
Yep.
Like
It's that team. That team to me lives and dies by the performance of Tom Brady. So if he
yeah.
strings together 4 good games, they will win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, everything else though, like
You
as
never
I'm
know.
looking at these games, everything that's happening this weekend is a foregone conclusion. Like the Bills are going to beat the Colts, Seahawks, especially without Jared Goff
Seahawks
playing.
Goff might play is the thing, but
Okay,
he's not
but
healthy.
he's got a broken hand.
Yeah.
Okay,
He just went
great.
through surgery. He did surgery on the hand
Right.
last
Like
week.
the Saints are going to beat the Bears. Like it's not even close.
I give the Bears a chance in that game because the Saints have shown that they can be really bad at times.
Mhm.
But the Bears, you just never know what they're going to be. They've been really good the last few weeks. They were really good at the beginning of the season.
But
I don't think they're going to win. I think it's the Saints
you're
game.
not riding behind Mitchell Trubisky, especially when the Saints have Drew Brees.
I can't put my
and
faith
they have Taysom Hill, right? Like in Taysom Hill now with more experience and to show you what he has, like that, you're still
they're a
kind of
dynamic offense, right?
Yeah,
This is what that brings.
I just like I'm Kansas City to me, like especially because there's two teams that aren't playing, Kansas City, Green Bay. Like I look over and it's easy to say 1-1 in the Super Bowl because Green Bay really doesn't have that much resistance past like Seattle.
No.
You know what I mean? Like the Saints have looked beatable at points, and
the Bucks maybe I think would be the next toughest team they go.
The Bucks absolutely could be terrifying, but then it's an Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, like, and when you're gonna throw a shootout,
I take Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah, I
know Brady has the weapons, but Aaron Rodgers, I'm riding.
Aaron Rodgers has the run game too. Aaron Rodgers has the wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Like he now has a team around him still, and you know what else he has? He has this pissed off mentality because you went out at the beginning of the year.
Jordan Love
took Jordan Love
precisely. Yeah,
didn't give him anything to work with, and he just said, "You know what? Fine then, fuck it. I'm gonna just show you how it's done."
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl, but I think the fact that Aaron Rodgers is on this mission, it gives him a really good chance.
I said at the beginning of the year though, it's Kansas City still all the way. Like Patrick Mahomes.
I hate saying it. Good. I would love to see them lose. But they're just way too good. The only thing that worries me is they've been close in a lot of games. Like they struggle closing out teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And because their defense is not a closeout defense, right? You've had some pieces and you have some names. Chris Jones is on there, which is a solid rusher, but Tyrann Mathieu is not the honey badger that he was when he was in Arizona. He's a solid option back there again type deal. Like Soren, like there's just names that they have which are okay and good, but they're not great to like excellent. You know what I mean? They're not like the Jalen Ramseys.
No, you don't have those elite level guys in your back.
Or you know what I mean? Like the Myles Garrett. Like it's.
I think they're going to run into trouble if they face Buffalo. I think that's the one matchup I look forward to if that happens. Yeah. Because I think Buffalo's got a crazy offense and their defense can be elite.
Buffalo, like, dude, trading for Stephon Diggs, best thing they ever did.
Huge. Holy shit.
He's been great. Give him the one. Josh Allen was like,
Josh Allen went out and did his work too. He apparently he spent a lot of time in the offseason attached to these like suits that show him exactly what's wrong with his throwing mechanics.
Changed his release, didn't he?
Yeah, he completely changed the way he throws the ball, and it showed. I would say he's the second candidate for the MVP award, personally.
I slotted him down at 4.
4? Behind Pat and who?
Rodgers was up there. I thought
Rodgers my number 1.
Yeah. Sure. Mahomes was number 2. And then I put Alvin Kamara up there. I love the way Kamara did things. And I don't think there's enough respect on the running back. But actually, no, see, then I forgot about Derrick Henry. Like, Derrick Henry, honestly, was like probably the one.
I could hear the argument of Derrick Henry over Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I don't really agree Pat Mahomes over Josh Allen for MVP. I think Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. But
Pat
in terms of most valuable to his team,
absolutely,
we're talking about a team that has Tyreek Hill, Travis
But they
Kelce.
lost one game. That's the thing, though, right?
Sure.
They lost one game. 2. And that's where a lot of things come. What?
They lost that last game.
Right. Sorry, 2 games. But Pat Mahomes.
They technically didn't because they sat the whole team.
Pat Mahomes lost one game. Like,
yeah. But he also has so many weapons around him, whereas Josh Allen has Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs.
Dude, that's great, though.
They're great, but they're not Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
No, Travis Kelce being is elite.
Nuts. That guy's a weapon.
Would you say, okay, I kind of had this debate with a buddy, or threw it out there. If you had to choose between Travis Kelce or Rob Gronkowski.
In their primes?
in their primes.
Rob Gronkowski.
You're gonna take Rob.
Yeah, I think it's tight. But to me, Gronk just had this like overpowering ability where you just could not stop that man. Kelsey runs great routes and he's really good at like he catches the ball a lot and he makes guys miss. But like Gronk just had this absolute fucking animal to him where like you couldn't
because he was too fast for any middle linebacker or any linebacker and he was too big for any corner. Like that was what it was. He was because
he was fast. Like
he was an anomaly. Oh yeah,
he wasn't fast, but he wasn't slow for his size.
Dude, I saw him move in that wrestling ring when he made his WrestleMania appearance. He was moving and grooving,
and he parties harder than anyone ever has in the history of ever. Like this is a guy that's an absolute.
Dude, he is loving Tampa Bay. Don't tell me that guy's quarantined for shit.
He already had COVID, but he just threw it out.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He drowned it in vodka and
he actually just kept it the whole time. He's like, I'm just gonna live with this. Fuck it.
That guy's an animal. I love him. He's honestly, he could be my favorite player in the NFL. So that might be bias on me. Like Cam Newton always has my heart, but Gronkowski could be. I just ordered his jersey actually because he finally left the Patriots. So
you ordered Cam Newton's jersey?
No, not Cam. I have a Cam jersey. I ordered Gronk. Yeah. He finally got on a different team, so I can jump on the bandwagon.
Do it, yeah.
So to me it's Gronk, but I can see the Travis Kelce argument.
So my favorite player right now is Jalen Ramsey. I love him. Oh my
Bit of an asshole.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I love.
Big asshole.
He shuts down players
really
all
good.
The time. One of his fights, I'm pretty sure it was one of the fights that he got on the field was because of like an actual like off-field incident, like where someone broke up with his sister or something like that. So he was like actually getting at the wide receiver. Like it was Golden Tate or something. Like it was like funny to watch.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And it was just like, dude, I love Jalen Ramsey. Dude, he held DK Metcalf to one catch.
Yeah.
Like DK Metcalf ran at what, like almost as fast as some school divisions, like school subdivisions.
DK Metcalf, on the flip side of that argument, my least favorite player in the NFL.
Really?
Passionately. Because he's huge. He's built like an absolute mountain, but he backs away from every single altercation he ever starts.
Yeah.
So he's done it 3 times this year where he's gone up after the whistle and pushed the guy or hit him in the head or done something and walked away because he's being a piece of shit about it. I'm like, man, you are built like 16 circles. Like, don't be like that. If you're going to be like that, don't swing the first punch. Like, don't hit him first. I don't care if
built like 16 circles.
That's what he is. He's huge. He's ripped. But like, if you're going to do that, don't start it. I'm fine with that. You can be that big. Don't start things. Great football player. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, dude.
But like when you start doing that shit, I just lose so much respect for you. Like if you're gonna start the fight, stay in there and take it. Don't run away and let the guy that's 2 feet shorter than you get in there and hop in and try and take one. Like it's just a pain in the ass, and he doesn't get flagged for it ever.
No, ever. You never really get flags to the offense.
I don't understand it. It's always the D guy that comes in and. As he gets punched in the face, he gets.
Because they throw like huge bombs. You know what I mean? They just always.
They're usually hitting guys hard. So when they come in to hit DK, they're hitting them hard.
They're over eager for sure.
Least favorite player. Maybe he's a great guy.
Funny. I don't think I've ever thought of my least favorite player. You know?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and I just.
Talib was up there for a bit because he was just.
Dude, you know he's like a reporter now for TSN. Like with a side note, he reports on TSN. He's not for TSN, but for NFL analysis, they actually go to him and he like talks about football. It's so great. Dude, they got Randy Moss. They don't care.
That guy, Randy Moss. He loved to just piss you off. And I couldn't
The best way, honestly, if I knew that at the end of my successful sports career, I was going to be a reporter, I would have really pushed harder in sports.
Yeah.
Like if that was going to be it, you know what I mean? I watched the NBA guys. They're so funny without Bernie there. Like just without any sort of actual, sportscaster sitting there reeling everybody in, it's
when they're just like talking sport. It's great.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's it for the matchups, right? We don't really have anything else.
No, that's it, man. Super Bowl.
One crazy thing I heard yesterday, Pat McAfee was talking about it. So Deshaun Watson reportedly is telling his close friends in the NFL and his teammates that he may request a trade out of Houston.